Hello, Misfits, and welcome. This is the second version of this intro that I have made, and I will tell you why. It's because I made a video all about the D&D Beyond Changelog, and all of the crazy stuff that was about to happen, and why everybody was angry, and then, lo and behold, they rolled it back. They listened to the community, and they rolled it all back. So, today's video is going to be sort of a hodgepodge of the stuff I've already filmed, so past Amanda, and then sort of the update to everything with current Amanda, and I'm gonna try to immediately edit it after I film so I can get this out on time, so we're gonna see how this all goes. But let's pass this over to myself from the past and kind of set this all up. If you weren't aware, Wizards of the Coast is about to unroll a big revision to 5th edition. Basically a 5.5, kind of like how 3rd edition got 3.5. This is going to introduce changes to classes, subclasses, races, spells, magic items, and much more. And of course, with all of these big changes coming to the edition, that means they're also going to be coming to D&D Beyond. Some of these changes are significant and some of them are just minor tweaks. So on top of all of that, they also immediately walked back some of those changes. There was this big fear that people were going to lose access to the stuff that they owned and they had paid for, and now D&D Beyond is walking that back a little bit. So we're going to get into all of those specifics here in a second. Before we get any further, I do want to take a moment to talk to you guys about Into the AM. Into the AM is a men's apparel brand that values creativity and self-expression, and today I'm here to let you know that some of their most beloved products are back in stock. No need to wait any longer because some of their best-selling graphic tees, vintage tees, and relaxed button-up are back in stock, so be sure to go check out these products on their site, and don't forget that if you use the code MISFIT at checkout or click my link in the description below, you can get 10% off your purchase. These are definitely some of the most comfortable shirts I own, and I love a good graphic t-shirt, especially with designs like this. I love all the space stuff, especially. I've always been a big space nerd, so I'm always excited to see what designs they have in store. So be sure to go check them out. It's really nice to see some of these popular designs back in the store. And don't forget that if you use my code MISFIT, you can get that 10% discount. So D&D Beyond released a changelog the other day detailing all of the things that are about to happen, what's getting adjusted and what's not. They were very, very clear and very specific. So this is a pretty substantial change that is going to get released. This 2024 revision officially goes out to everybody on September 17th, but the early access starts on September 3rd for that master subscription tier. So I'm pretty sure all of these changes are going to start getting unrolled on D&D Beyond on September 3rd. So I know this has a lot of people freaking out, so let's talk about what exactly is changing, what's not changing, and if there's a reason to be worried or frustrated about any of this. I'm definitely going to be looking at my notes for a lot of this, okay? So just excuse me looking off to the side. So what isn't changing? Access to the basic rules or your copies of the 2014 Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, or Monster Manual. All of that is still there. You're still going to be able to access all of that stuff. Also, you're going to maintain your ability to build a character with the classes, subclasses, and species and backgrounds and feats from this 2014 version. You may have noticed that I said species instead of race because that is a change that's being made. Race is going to get swapped out for the word species. You will also maintain access to your 2014 monsters, and you also maintain access to your existing homebrew unless it uses the tooltips in their descriptions. This doesn't mean that you lose access to those homebrew items or creations. It just means that those tooltips are going to get updated to the 2024 version. If you don't know what the tooltips are, because I kind of forgot that that's what they were called, I'm pretty sure it's those sort of like little like tips and descriptions, there are those like hyperlinked words in monster or spell descriptions where you hover over them and it pops up the greater description, the more full description. That's what the tooltips are, I think, probably. So basically, this stuff isn't changing. It's still all going to be there, but it's all going to get a legacy badge. So you will be able to see this when you pull it up on D&D Beyond. It's going to be there, and next to it, it's going to have the word legacy to show that it doesn't use the current rules or game lore anymore. It's an older version. And you can actually already see some stuff that has a legacy badge next to it on D&D Beyond. When the Monsters of the Multiverse book was released, it made some tweaks to some existing things, and so now the old versions of those have the legacy badge next to them. If you go look up the Volos version of the Goliath, it already says legacy next to it, whereas the Monsters of the Multiverse version does not. Of course, with this change, I think both of those are going to get the legacy badge, so I guess you'll just have to figure out which one's older or not. They haven't really clarified that specifically. And just to like really let you know what's getting a legacy badge, it's going to be the classes, the subclasses that are getting new versions, the species or races, the backgrounds, the feats, and the monsters. And there are definitely specific examples that are listed in the changelog that explain how all of this stuff works with the legacy badge versus the new content being released. When you can use the old stuff, when it's going to try to default you to the new stuff, and how all of that works in character creation. It was all really well laid out, and they provided multiple examples, so I'm going to make sure to put a link to that changelog in the description below. I also know that the 2024 revision introduces changes to the UI for the monster stat blocks and the character sheets. What I'm personally a little unclear about is if these changes will be reflected on D&D Beyond for people that don't purchase the 2024 version. So is everybody's character sheet going to get defaulted to the newer layout or not? Are all of the monster stat blocks going to default to the sort of newer UI setup? I'm not entirely clear on that. That's just a little bit of a gray area, but I wanted to bring that up. Now let's get into what got everybody mad and what they have now rolled back. So in the initial changelog, they announced that spells and magic items were just going to automatically get updated to the 2024 version instead of getting a legacy badge like all of the other stuff did. This was pretty much met with immediate negative feedback. People feared that they were going to lose access to their 2014 content that they paid for. They didn't want a change forced upon them, or at the very least, they wanted an option to opt in instead of it just, happening to them. Now, I will say, to clarify, everybody was always going to have access to the 2014 spells and magic items and rules and everything, but my understanding is that it would only be viewable in the compendium, but not necessarily in the character builder and character sheets, which, in our defense, is pretty much the main reason why anybody even uses D&D Beyond. It's for those character sheets. It's that ease of use when playing. So, yeah, they can sort of cover themselves by saying, we were never taking it away from you. But, really, you were taking it away from us in the most, important way to us, if that makes sense. But anyway, I digress. Before the most recent development, their solution to potentially losing access to these spells and items in the character builder was to create homebrew copies of the old spells and items that would allow you to maintain access to them. You just go in and you turn on, homebrew stuff, and then you can access these copies on your character sheet. But here's why that is dumb. This is unreleased content. They haven't announced what spells and magic items are affected, or at least the extent that the spells would be affected. There's Now it's my understanding that there's like over 200 spells that are going to be adjusted or changed, and they've not told us all of those. There's a select number of people that have had early access to the rulebook, and we can't just wait around for them to just tell us every single thing that's going to be changed. So they're like, yeah, go in and just copy these spells. It's fine. Well, tell us what spells to copy. It's really easy to make a homebrew copy of something that is already existing. But once this rolls out, all of those things, they don't exist in the same form anymore. So you have to copy the new updated version of the spell, pull up the description of the old version of the spell, and then manually go in and type your changes. That's extremely tedious, and if you want to do that for all 200 plus spells, you're going to be doing that for days. That's just kind of a dumb thing to expect people to do when they clearly have the ability to just slap a legacy badge on it and keep it in. But, the community won. Once again, we, gave them our feedback. We were very vocal about it, and they have since walked it back. So what exactly is this announcement? What is the thing that they came out with walking all of this back? What did they say? All right, so here it is. Last week, we released a changelog detailing how players would experience the 2024 core rulebook on D&D Beyond. We heard your feedback loud and clear, and thank you for speaking up. Our excitement around the 2024 core rulebook led us to view these planned updates as welcome improvements and free upgrades to existing content. We misjudged the impact of this change, and we agree that you should be free to choose your own way to play. Taking your feedback to heart, here's what we're going to do. Players who only have access to the 2014 Player's Handbook will maintain their character options, spells, and magical items in their character sheets. Players with access to the 2024 and 2014 Digital Player's Handbook can select from both sources when creating new characters. Players will not need to rely on Homebrew to use their 2014 player options, including spells and magic items as recommended in previous changelogs. Please note, players will continue to have access to their free, shared, and purchased items on D&D Beyond, with the ability to use previously acquired player options when creating characters and using character sheets. We are not changing players' current character sheets except for relabeling and renaming. Examples include races to species, inspiration to heroic inspiration, and cast spell to magic. So that's good. I actually missed this the first time around, so it seems like the character sheets are just staying the same, except for like a couple terminology things. Okay, we're dedicated to making D&D Beyond the ultimate digital toolset for Dungeons & Dragons, continuously enhancing the platform to ensure you can create, customize, and play your game just as you envision it, from your first one-shot to multi-year campaigns and everything in between. We're grateful to be on this journey with you, the D&D studio. So there you have it. There's their big, walk back. Now, I will say that I would like just a little bit more clarification, and I actually fully expect maybe just a little bit more to come out even before this gets posted. I just wonder, are they just putting the legacy badge on the old spells? Because they didn't actually spell that out. So I'm just a little curious about that. Is there a way to mix and match 2014 and 2024? I would be curious to hear them get a little bit more specific about those details. But overall, it sounds like if you buy the revision, you can just sort of toggle on 2024 or 2014 spells if you want. And if you only have the 2014 version, you only have the 2014 version. So at least that's how I am interpreting this announcement. So here are my final thoughts on everything before I close this all out. So overall, great. They listened to us and made the change that we asked for. So I guess the big question is, why did we get into this situation in the first place? They had to know we wouldn't like it, right? Like, they had to know that. So I just don't even fully understand why this happened. It just seems so odd to me. I will say the majority of the revised spells that I have actually seen and read the descriptions of, it's few, but I've seen, I have liked the changes. The problem is that we just didn't know what was going to be changed. We were just going to have to wait and find out if our favorite spell got nerfed or buffed or left alone. And that waiting game sucks. It just does. I mean, it's like agreeing to buy a house without going and seeing it first. It's just not something that's typically done. So I don't know. I just don't quite fully understand what was going through their head. If they really wanted to make this update really easy for all of us, then they should have just told us exactly what was going to be affected and in what way. But at the end of the day, they still should have always given us the option to opt in or not. So at least they're giving us that now. But I don't know. Maybe all of that would have been way too much information to give away before something is officially released. I don't fully know how all of that works, but whatever. So I'm gonna pass this off to past me to close out the video, and then I will catch you in the after credits, okay? But that's all I've got for you guys. I think this is a really interesting thing to talk about. It's interesting to see D&D Beyond try to be so transparent about it. Clearly they have learned a thing or two about some of the things that have happened in the past. You know, they didn't really give us a heads up about taking away that a la carte purchasing option. So I wonder if they learned from that and they've decided to be a little bit more transparent here, or if this is still sort of connected to all that OGL stuff. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear you guys' thoughts. But if you like this channel and you want to support me and help me out, please feel free to like and subscribe, but more importantly, leave a comment down below. Have you seen any of these spell changes that people have talked about before? Counterspell is one, spiritual weapon is another. There's some changes made to sleep as well. You know, people haven't released all of the spell details, but people are talking about some of them, and I would be very interested to hear your thoughts and also just your general opinions about this whole thing in general. How does it make you feel? Are you frustrated? Do you care? Do you not? You know, tell me about that in the comment section down below. But with all of that said and done, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week, and I will see you again next time. Okay, woof. Crazy. I literally I was gonna put this video out early, a day or two before my normal upload day. And I woke up really early in the morning. It was 5:30 or something, and I was just sitting in bed scrolling through, and I saw that, I recognize it anywhere at this point, that D&D announcement, black background, white text, and it's oh crap, here's another apology, and sure enough, they're walking it back, and I am I have not a lot of time to go stop this video from being uploaded that's totally dated now, so I was glad I caught that. But, man, come on. How many times is Wizards of the Coast gonna do stuff like this? I mean, you'd think they'd learn. At least they listened. At least they, warned us ahead of time. This isn't because of, a leak situation. It's, an actual communication situation. So, that's something. But, I don't know. Just crazy. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. I will see you next time.